Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. So excited today. I've got actor Pilot Bunch with me. So welcome, Pilot.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for
That's
having me, Michael.
that's like the most actor name ever.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people think it's a stage name. And no, that's on the birth certificate. So it's crazy the origin of the name too. I was adopted from Kazakhstan, and
Oh.
which is right under Russia. I was born in the capital, Almaty, or what used to be the capital, and when my parents found out about Kazakhstan, it was through a friend of my mom's work. They had this conversation, and she had adopted from Kazakhstan, and absolutely convinced my mother that, like, yeah. And when they went out to Kazakhstan, my mother and father found out that boys were adopted less than girls. Like they were just
Yeah.
kind of left behind. Because I don't know, at that time, everybody just wanted girls from Kazakhstan. And what was crazy was my dad said, "Nope, we're getting a boy," and I want a little co-pilot to go snowboarding and skateboarding with. And yeah, long story short, when they were trying to figure out what to name me, they were like, "What are we gonna name our little co-pilot? What are we gonna name Pilot?" Oh, there's his
Yeah.
name. Yeah, and then my siblings' names are Ryder, Cruz, and Sailor.
Well, I was going to ask you what your siblings' names were because I figured they were pretty unique too. I love it. I think it
Thank
sounds
you.
they those sound like names for a very active family.
Yeah, so Ryder loves messing with cars, motorcycles, anything that moves or runs. Um, Cruz is loves Disney cruises and loves video games, and he's incredibly smart. And Sailor's just like a little. She's like Tinkerbell in actual real life. She spends her days uh, playing with dolls, glitter, and the rest of her little friends, and she just lives life to the
I was going to
fullest.
say that doesn't sound terrible.
No, it's actually horrible. It's so hard for her, and I don't know how she does it, because personally, I would it would be such a burden.
Well,
Uh,
it sounds it'd be tough to get through those days.
I know, right?
Well, so Pilot, what got you into acting? That's such a difficult profession. Why'd you want to go into the entertainment business?
Mm. It was never about going into the business for me, but
Yeah.
like what. So I had started in third grade. I was Scar in my third grade play of The Lion King. And the whole reason I was put into acting was because I was adopted from Kazakhstan. In the baby houses or the orphanages,
Yeah.
there were two caretakers to 40 kids. So
Oh,
we
wow.
were barely held or touched, or unless we were being changed or fed. And even then, it was just like shoveling gruel into our mouths and putting us down. And we were
Right.
swaddled really tight in these blankets, and just laid in our cribs, except for like 30 minutes to an hour a day where we played on a rug, right? So it was very little touch. And because of that, my sensory, like I have sensory deprivation, so sensory processing disorder, because my
Yeah.
sensory didn't develop properly. So I was always seeking attention because I didn't get that when I was first, growing up. The most important times where a human being needs physical touch.
Yeah, of course.
So because of that, I'm a big attention seeker. And when I was little, I was like a cracked out little Jim Carrey, like in your face, like flipping off stuff, jumping off things. Like, and my parents were like, before this turns into something not so positive, let's give him some kind of an outlet.
That's right.
Into. So yeah, they put me in acting classes, and then in school, we always did a play, and I was Scar in third grade. And when people left the chapel or wherever we performed that day, they were like, "You got to get this kid an agent. What are you doing? He's
That's
meant
right.
for stuff." But my parents wanting to give me a normal childhood, and after hearing all the Hollywood horror stories, they're like, maybe not. So I acted in children's theater and like little small productions for years. Third grade. So for about 2 or 3 years. And then I booked my first professional theater jobs, doing Shenandoah and Ragtime, working 56-hour weeks as a fifth and sixth grader. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was my favorite. I grew up in theater, and after that, I signed with my agency, Formation Agency.
Yeah.
I think it was either October, November of like the year, or right before I did the my first two professional theater shows, and I've been doing film ever since. Yeah, just worked up the ranks. So
I mean, that's pretty great. And normally when you're at a young age like that, you're not putting in, 50, 60-hour work weeks.
yeah. But the thing with that is, whatever age you are, whether you're like 10 or 100, if you love something,
That's right.
it doesn't matter how much you're working, how late it gets, you're going to find a way to do it. And yeah, I just loved it more than anything. And yeah, not many fifth and sixth graders were doing what I was doing at that time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, so how did that switch over to like TV and movies? At what point did you kind of make that leap? Because that's a big leap too, because it's so different.
Like I said before, I was wild. Still am, but very much toned down, just less spastic, at least in public.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I'm just kidding. So with theater, you punch it up. It's just full throttle energy. It doesn't matter. You put it all in, right? There's no holding back. You're constantly feeding off the energy of an audience and just like slamming it back at them like tenfold, right? At least that's what I did. And with film, after I signed with Formation, started out with auditions. They would send me auditions, and I remember getting my first ones. And it was classes. It was classes and classes, and working on just taking all of this raw, undefined, just energy, and just like compartmentalizing it in all of these different ways to become a better film actor. Yeah, and that's how I kind of got into it, just through the auditions I got and the classes I did. I made more and more connections, and
that's just kind of how it goes. It builds on top of each other.
Yeah, it was just like a little wheel, and yeah.
No, that's pretty great. I was trying to think. I'm guessing the first thing I saw you in was probably The Outsider. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
That. Were you are you a Stephen King fan?
So actually, I'm not a big horror fan at all. And even when I worked on Outsider, and when I worked on Walking Dead, I hadn't
Oh, really? So no,
watched any of it.
no
Um,
Stephen or Joe King, no.
but I knew who they were, right?
Yeah,
And I definitely got more into their work after, and just learning about who they are, and like how important they are to the writing world,
sure.
and
Yeah,
how cool it was that I was able to be in an adaptation of such an artist's work. It was
that's a
really
big
cool.
role for an early role.
Yeah, yeah, that was actually one of my yeah, that was one of my earliest roles. I remember we filmed out in Chattanooga,
Yeah,
Tennessee, and in the caves in Alabama. And I mean, it was crazy. I loved it. Um, in Chattanooga, one of my favorite parts was my co-star Sutton. Um, we would go out and go rock climbing at
yeah.
this little thing or whatever, and we'd walk around town. And I remember these massive blueberry pancakes at Tupelo Honey. So good. Um, but filming wise, it was a dream. I remember getting the call from my agent.
Yeah.
We were in the car into like Disney World or something, and I get a call from my agent. You don't get a call from your agent or manager unless it's like something like
It's something
important,
good. That's right.
right? And he it was Tom Malone, and he goes, "Okay, before I say anything, are you comfortable with being knee to thigh high in the mud, crawling around in tight, muddy crevices, and getting absolutely filthy, um, and being in claustrophobic areas?" And I said, "Yes,
Sign me up.
100%. That's me. I'm your guy." And then he tells you, "Well, you booked the Outsider." And yeah, next thing I know, I was in the caves with everybody, and we were being guided by these massive, massive stuntmen, because I mean the caves were crazy, and the stalactites are sharper than you
Oh
think.
yeah.
And it hit his head on a stalactite, and it cut him open. So then from that point on, we had these massive guys just like palming our heads like little basketballs, like leading us through this caves, and we were like knee high in water, and
Oh
all this
wow.
stuff. Yeah, it was beautiful. And the beginning half we filmed in this old hay barn. In that opening scene where I'm scanning the camera
Oh
with the
yeah.
flashlight, and I'm look. Yeah, we filmed in this really cool hay barn, and then we'd run down past the cows. We got to play with cows, and I absolutely ate it in the grass. It's really fun. Outsider was very, very fun. Yeah.
Well, I've got a niece that's in med school in Chattanooga, and
Yeah.
we'd went out um, last fall, and they do there's a series of caves close there that does a thing called Cave Fest, and it's basically a music festival, but it's inside the caves. Oh,
Wow.
it was cool. It was pretty
Wow.
cool.
That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, they've got like there's an outside stage, so some of the music's outside, in a
Yeah.
field, and then the other half is inside the cave, and it's a pretty big cave.
That's interesting. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for telling me about that. That sounds amazing. I think there's nothing cooler than live music in a like a field, or
Oh
like
yeah.
I've even thought about that.
No, the acoustics were really good. Yeah, you'll have to
Yeah.
look it up. It's right around Chattanooga, but it's called Cave Fest. But they do it
That's
every year.
really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty good.
Wow.
And then yeah, you mentioned Walking Dead, and I know they're right there around Atlanta where
Yeah. And
they
Sonoya.
they
Yeah.
film. Uh, what a show! You know, did once you got on there, did you go back and check out any of the episodes or go back and read the comic?
So I was on the show. Awesome, great, had an amazing time. I was chatting it up with Greg Nicotero about guitars and some horrifying stories that he had from on set. Like there was one he was telling me about where he had a head, like a severed head, just from set, as you do,
As you do. That's right.
just full on bloody, like whatever. And it's the greatest thing ever. He walks off set with the severed head in his trunk, or not in his trunk, in his passenger seat, and he's flying down the highway on one of these dark nights. I was it Halloween? I believe it was Halloween that he said he'd done it. He passes this old woman in her car, and he takes the severed head and he hangs it out the window and screams like a maniac and drives faster. And he was telling me that night, a few cops showed up.
I was going to say.
Yeah. It was really cool. And I got to, one of the coolest things that I realized later was first day, I was so excited to be on set.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Jumping up on tables like outside of this, whatever, in this little, like where all the campers were, when everything was set up. I was jumping on this table and I like hit this little move and I just eat it in front of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. mind you, I have no idea who this like awesome, totally radical, like he's Negan. He's Negan.
That's right.
And I just ate it in front of him. He's so cool. I had no clue.
Well, did he say anything to you?
Yeah, he goes, this is exactly what he did. He goes, "You okay, kid?" I thought he was like some director, and I was like, "Oh no, I just ate it in front of somebody I'm going to be working with. That's not very mature." And I go, yeah, all good. And mind you, he has his leather jacket on. He's got his scarf on. His aviators just hanging out. And I come to learn later, I'm working with his son in the scene, Gus, when we're like teasing the walker. That is his son, Gus. And I spent the whole day with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, my co-star Seth, who was on set with me, and Jeffrey's son Gus, checking out all the makeup trailers, checking out the sets, and one of the coolest things that I
that's awesome.
I'll never forget. Jeffrey Dean Morgan comes in one day with his leather jacket, aviators on. He's having a great day. He's got a shirt on. It says, "When Led Zeppelin is playing, shut up." I was like, this guy's like the coolest dude ever. Like, this is awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then we spent the whole day filming and doing all the things. And the point is, yes, I ended up watching the show. I developed an addiction, and I watched the entire show in probably less than a month.
Oh my gosh, that's dedication, because it's not like it's one or two seasons. That's a lot.
That's 11 seasons.
Yeah.
I love that show, and I like looking back at it now. I'm so lucky to even have gotten to be a part of it, and it was truly one of the coolest experiences I've had. Yeah,
I love to hear that because that's pretty great. And it's like, it's one of those rare shows that it's as good or better than the source material, which was also great.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do.
And one of the, I haven't read the comics, but I know that a lot of like some of the characters weren't in it, like Daryl.
Yeah.
Norman Reedus' character, one of the greatest characters in the show, and it wasn't even part of the comic.
That's right. Yeah, he was not in it. I just
loved his performance so much, and like who he was as a person, that they wrote him in. I just so cool.
I know, if you're going to be on a show, that's a pretty good one to be on.
Yeah.
Just to be part of that.
Yeah, especially like an Atlanta staple too.
Yeah, that's not terrible. Yeah, that's not terrible. That's not terrible. And of course, I saw you on Red One.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
pretty cool one to be on there.
that one was cool.
Not like, there's some minor stars in that one. No, nobody big.
Oh, shoot. The Rock.
I mean, shoot.
Chris Evans. That was cool. Yeah, I spent I believe it was I think it was 3 to 4 days. A lot of set school because there was a lot of things going on. They had rented out the entire perimeter mall here in Atlanta.
Oh
There
yeah.
were there were kids sneaking into the mall trying to see. It was crazy. Um, the director was amazing. I loved working with him. I got to walk past J.K. Simmons. He knows I exist. It's pretty cool.
Well, you didn't face plant in front of him, so that's an
Right.
improvement.
We're getting better. We're being better humans now. No, but one of the coolest things about Red One was I've always loved stunts.
Yeah.
I've loved stunts, and all through quarantine, I watched a stunt performer named Ronnie Chavez,
Okay.
and I would watch all of his parkour videos. I would watch all of his how to flip tutorials, and the number one thing though, I would watch his stunt reels over and over and over, and I'd recreate them. I'd jump off playgrounds like as
Love it.
as though like I just got shot in the back, and I'd fall off an entire playground. It was great. I loved it. Got me through quarantine, and yeah, I loved this guy because like I said, I would watch him over and over again, and I'm walking past the makeup trailer one day.
Yep.
You know, I just had gotten greenlit to go on set, whatever. I'm set. I walk past the makeup trailer. When I tell you I break my neck triple taking to to recognize this guy's face that I just saw in the makeup trailer, it was literally like that's what it was like. I'm serious. It turns out it was Ronnie Shelvis, and I got to sit and have a conversation with him and get my picture. And
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah,
I like that you're a fan too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't believe that anyone who pretends or like acts like they're not a fan, it's just like you're ruining it for yourself.
That's right.
There's no way like I've gotten to work with people that have created my childhood.
Right.
Like there's no way. It's just so inauthentic if I didn't show that and show my appreciation for the people and the work that they've done. Um, yeah, I think there's nothing more important than just like being yourself. If you see someone that you like look up to, like, hey man, thank you for what you do. You've inspired me. At
Yeah,
the
I
least,
agree with that. And I think most of them will get that.
yeah.
They'll get it. So you're on the new season of Righteous Gemstones.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And I think this is the final season, I think.
The same thing with Walking Dead. Like realizing that this was the final season, I said, "Wow, the fact that I got
Yeah,
and
you got
I
in.
was given this opportunity, it's beyond my comprehension." Um, that that was a really cool experience. It
Yeah,
was a very, very cool time. I got to meet Walton Goggins. Um,
very nice.
you sometimes you like think you have a small understanding of what it's like to be an actor, and then you get on set and you watch somebody like Walton and you're like, wow, wow. That is, I mean, from the very first, even before the very first action to the very last cut, he was in character. I mean,
Oh, he's pro.
it's a transformation, and Yeah, it was an it was an absolute honor to just see him in that process, and it was it was beautiful because we had in the scene that we do where we're talking together, right? And I mean, at, at at a certain point, he screams at me, so I have to stand there, solid faced, while baby Billy is screaming at my face, just like, oh. And he took the time with me um at one part of the scene to kind of explain to me the dynamics
Yeah,
of what we were doing. And just in that very short moment, I learned so much, like so much. um One of the most valuable pieces of advice he gave me, we got on a little buggy to go back to home base after like a long period of shooting. um and I was talking to him, and he was like, you always got to remember to take your breaks, man. Because like when I'm on set. Like
right.
this is go time. But he was like, you need to realize that you have to take those breaks. You look at anybody who's been doing this for a good while. As soon as they get the chance, they're going back to their trailer and they're decompressing,
That's right.
and they're reloading for the next scene. And that opened my eyes that, like, if I want to keep doing this in the long run, I got to take care of myself. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's actually a really good lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Because when you're younger, you don't think about needing to conserve energy and to decompress and kind of reset your mind and stuff. But you learn it pretty quick as you get older.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I'm receiving these lessons now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Bradley Cooper's guest starring this year.
I had no idea. I had no
Amazing.
idea. Um, yeah, I'm so excited to watch this season. I haven't started it yet. So we
Yeah,
shall
no,
see.
I haven't either, but I'm getting ready to. It's
Yeah.
next up. So
Yeah.
yeah, it should be pretty good. And then you got a movie that's out now, Unbreakable Boy.
Yeah.
So tell me about that one. What's Unbreakable Boy about?
So Unbreakable Boy, the story is about Teresa and Scott Lorette,
Yeah,
um, who are a couple that they're still figuring things out. And all of a sudden, by accident, they conceive Austin, who is their first child, unplanned, and he has autism.
yeah,
And it's not only their way of navigating life and their relationship, but also navigating life with their relationship and Austin and their son Logan. And it's told through the eyes of Austin. And a big part of it is also a father's struggle with sobriety and wanting to be a better human.
yeah.
And just all of these beautiful stories combined, I think it's a very important um, story that I'm so happy I got to be a part of and get to spread awareness, especially right now. Um, I think Unbreakable Boy, if it does anything, I just hope it teaches people to take a second, no matter what you believe, no matter who you are, to just take a second and try and understand somebody,
That's right.
whoever you're having a conversation with, because I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you've been through, and I don't know what you will go through.
That's right.
But I can take the time to at least get a little understanding. So
Yeah, I love that, and it looks just from the trailer, it looks amazing. It looks like it might be a little emotional, but it looks amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, and what's your role in it?
I am Austin's bully.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, how was
Um,
that? How was that difficult to play? Someone that's kind of being in a bully, or was it just an acting job?
so yeah, it's interesting. It's hard to a point, but it's also like it's a learning experience too.
Yeah,
It's definitely, you have to step into a space I had to bring an intensity to be able to portray Tyler the way I did. And I got to learn about, not only what people like Austin are going through and how they perceive the world and see things, but I also got to see how the people who are not so sensitive or are,
Right.
the antagonist in the story, I got to see that side as well. And you realize that it all comes from pain.
Yeah.
It all comes from pain. And I've said this before, but all Tyler really was, you pull back all these layers of not just, he's a bully. That's just whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's just, no, you pull back all of these layers and you just reveal a little boy who wasn't given the love that he deserved, and
I love that.
Logan realized that. Austin realized it first, and Tyler found family within Logan and Austin, and they are still best friends to this day. I got to meet the entire Lorette family, beautiful, beautiful humans, and I also got to meet Tyler himself, and I got to talk with him about his story and his life, and yeah, it was beautiful getting to actually hear firsthand, what that story was like, and all of them are such, like I said, beautiful humans, and yeah, it's interesting when you portray someone and then you meet them in real life and you're like, wow, it's a realization, it's a moment that you have that it's just like you sit there and you meet them and you're like, I hope I did you justice.
Yeah. Well, so had they seen the movie? What they
Yeah.
think? Did you do them justice?
Yeah. So that conversation, well, I had never seen it until the premiere in New York.
Yeah.
Um, Austin had seen it a bunch of times. He loved it. He loves it. And you can actually catch him every so often in the movie himself. Yeah, talking with the real Tyler,
Yeah.
I found out that my character wasn't just him. It was a bunch of people that had messed with Austin or Logan. Real Tyler himself had never had any physical altercation with either Logan or Austin. But yeah, I was a compiled group of people, of hurt people,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was interesting to hear. And I we talked, and he was like, we'd never met until this point, and he goes, you did beautiful. I mean, it was strange watching myself on a screen to a point. He was like, even the
That's awesome.
mannerisms. Yeah, he was like, even the mannerisms that you put into this character matched, and I got to hear his story, like I said, and yeah, it was just a really beautiful moment getting to connect with all of these people.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and see the
That has to
success.
feel good as an actor to be told by the person you're impersonating that you nailed it, that you did a good job.
It feels good as a human being,
Yeah.
honestly, more than an actor, more than, oh, I did my job. It's like I did justice to someone, to a story. I gave a voice to something that otherwise would never have been heard.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
Amazing. Well, Pilot, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time with us. That
of course. Thank you.
such
I
a
enjoyed
such a
this.
fan of yours. I think
Thank
you're
you.
for somebody that hasn't really been doing this very long. I mean, you're really
Yeah,
talented. You
thank
you do
you.
a good job bringing up emotion
I
in
do my
someone,
best.
and that's a talent. That's
Thank
really
you.
really impressive. A couple of things though
Yeah.
before we wrap up. Anything else that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
So as we mentioned, Righteous Gemstones just came out on March 9th.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, amazing show, regardless of me. Please go watch it. Brad Inglesby's new show, Task, with Mark
Yeah.
Ruffalo. There's a show called Mayor of Easttown that Brad wrote, and he's doing one in a
Mayor of Easttown is terrific.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Please go watch that show if you have not already. I loved it. It was just this psychological crazy train, and it was truly one of some of the best performances I've seen. But yeah, Task with Mark Ruffalo, HBO Max. I will be in that. And let's see. Thoughts and Prayers. Thoughts and Prayers, directed and written by Nitsan Major. And that's an exciting one. So that'll be coming out soon too.
That's awesome. Those are some big ones.
Yeah, I'm very, very blessed to be able to be a part of all of the projects I've ever been a part of. And I'm glad that it's been aligned to where it's very concentrated and they are good messages. And yeah.
That's awesome, man. Where can we find you on social media?
My handle on Instagram is Pilot Bunch. That is PILOTBUNCH, all lowercase. That's where you find me.
Yeah, and it comes right up. There's not a ton of pilot bunches out there, if you can believe.
You actually get a lot of actual pilots when you first like put that in, like Pilot Josh or Pilot Dan, and I'm like, oh,
I think it sounds like it sounds to me like a 80s cartoon action figure that I might watch on a Saturday morning.
That is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Thank you for that. Seriously, that is awesome.
The Pilot Bunch action adventure show. Yeah, I can totally see it. You got like a plane. You're flying in the jungle.
Yeah, just imagine the intro. You zoom into the cockpit. I'm like doing these crazy like maneuvers. Oh, I've got to write this now.
Yeah, we're on to something. You're gonna have to write it though. Yeah, just give a little special thanks in the credits. That's all I ask.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for the entire basis and idea. It's all you. I just typed words on paper.
That's exactly right. All right, Pilot, hold on 1 second. Pilot Bunch, my new favorite acting name ever. I absolutely love that. He's a really talented actor. So do yourself a favor, check him out. Unbreakable Boy. It's Patricia Heaton, Zachary Levi. I mean, it is just looks absolutely terrific. So do yourself a favor, check that one out. Give Pilot your support. Righteous Gemstones just started back up on Sunday. So definitely, if you're not watching that one, it's excellent. This is the fourth season. I'm sure Pilot's going to be terrific in that. I think we hit most of what he's done. He was Mike on The Wonder Years for an episode. It's terrific in that. And then he did a Nickelodeon show called Drama Club where he, I think he was Colin on there, but he was on several episodes as that as well. Really talented, young, rising actor. So please check Pilot out and give him your support. If you're finding us for the first time, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. Really helps us out. It's free. Our website's meistercon.com. You can find 927 episodes and counting, audio and video versions on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.